What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of JohnnyVTV Live. Join with me, as always, my boys Kyle Donnelly and Nick Durst. How we doing, boys?
Another week of football, another week I lost money.
Well, Kyle, you should have listened to Johnny V over here with some bets then. But listen, I think Kyle doubted his Titans, but he shouldn't have. You got to remember the Titans are solid team, and this could be the end for the Russell Wilson era in Seattle. I think it might be over this year. Sad loss for my Giants. A couple of penalties, holding, and offsides and whatnot. Buccaneers. Who's going to beat the Buccaneers? I don't know. I don't see them losing more than 2 games in the regular season.
Not so fast on that first one there, my friend. It just slipped my mind. I can't think of it now. What did you just say?
I said the Titans are
Seahawks. Not so fast on the Seahawks, my friend. I think there's still some life there in them.
Listen, they can make the playoffs. They're not.
I think that's still their division to lose. But Tennessee definitely did prove something to me this week. There's no doubt about it. King Henry is still a beast. I mean, he didn't prove much to me there. He's the man.
Well, I mean, Kyle, you should have listened to me. I told you in just a flamboyant fashion, if we're being frank about it. And I mean, this is why I hate Russell Wilson. I don't back him. I hate Pete Carroll. I just can't stand the way they play football. It aggravates me.
Pete Carroll's gonna go back to USC.
He's got to go, man. But you know what, man? We got a great guest today. We have AJ Pollack from AndrewSportsFan. Let's bring him out. Andy, thanks so much for taking the time, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Johnny. Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Pollack. I'm actually now Andy's Randomness on YouTube, so I'll just plug that for anybody who's
over 1 million views on YouTube by the phenomenal.
Yes, that's wild, man. That's awesome.
That is correct.
So, Andy, let's start off with you here. It was another wild week in the NFL, and we're going to touch on it a little bit more later. But in week 1, underdogs 12-4 against the spread. Just a ton of dogs won. They came home barking, and then now we got week 2 where you have 6 or 7 underdogs taking it home that are covering the spread. It's just outrageous the way the dogs are barking. But in terms of reactions to week 2, what stood out to you the most?
Well, I'll give 2 reactions regarding week 2. First standoff, I'll go to my team, the Baltimore Ravens. Huge win on Sunday Night Football against the Kansas City Chiefs. They were finally able to defeat their ultimate kryptonite on national television. It was a very great game. Both teams played very well. Obviously, Lamar Jackson with that gymnastic flip into the end zone was the sealing deal for Baltimore. Now they got an easy team next week playing Detroit. And then second thing that really stood out to me from last week was the Seattle Seahawks. You blow 2 touchdown leads. You let Tennessee come back on the road. And not to mention the entire country after the Dallas Cowboy LA Georgia game was done. CBS went right to that game on Sunday night, and the whole country witnessed an epic collapse of the Seattle Seahawks for their home opener, and especially how Tennessee the week before looked awful, and that was a big bounce-back win for the Titans.
Absolutely, man. I mean, you just heard me talk about Seattle. It was flat out disgusting how they lost. Baltimore, I actually threw them in on the betting show on Friday, and I may have touched on them on Tuesday. I backed the Ravens at plus 3.5 on my weekly taste last week. The only reason I backed them, I had no feeling that Baltimore could compete with Kansas City, especially with all the injuries, given the past success that the Kansas City Chiefs have had against Baltimore Ravens. One thing led me to back the Ravens at plus 3.5. It was because 90% of the public was taking Kansas City. That means fade the public. So that was one of the more interesting ones. Baltimore, shorthanded, came up with a great game plan, made the biggest plays when it counts. Lamar Jackson did not look great as a passer, but he did enough. He made the throws where he had to. And, of course, he used his legs as he's done his whole career to make the difference in the game. What do you think, Nick?
Listen, I am just so happy the Chiefs lost. They should have lost week 1. They should be 0-2. The Chiefs are not, listen, everybody, the Chiefs are not going to the Super Bowl. They're not so much better than they're not so much better than the Bills, not so much better than the Browns. We'll see about the rest of the league there. But people they've caught up. The offensive line has stunk dating back to the Super Bowl for the Chiefs. So we'll see what happens. Also, right now, they're not the best team in their division. The Raiders are! The Raiders are legit, guys. John Gruden's got the Raiders going to the top. I mean, who saw this coming? They have horrible draft, horrible offseason every year, and they come out and they just defy all odds and win games. Listen, they'll probably lose the next 2, then they'll win the next 3. They'll be around 500, hovering throughout the season. It'll be maybe they're a wild card, maybe they're not. But if you're a Raiders fan right now, you got to be excited with what John Gruden has been able to do through the first 2 weeks of the season.
So glad you said that.
I'll mention one quick thing, Nick. How about the Denver Broncos? They're off to a hot start too, and they're going to definitely be 3-0 because we obviously know they're playing the Jets this week. So 2 3-0 teams possibly by the end of week.
Oh, the Jets suck.
Exactly.
Hey, Nick, I'm glad you said that. That's a very good point. I really think the Raiders are for real out there in that division. And that being said, now you got, and also like our guest just mentioned, but now he's taken off for 5 minutes here, I guess, for but anyway, what's it called? So Denver has looked like a legitimate contender in this division. They're going to probably get out to a 3-0 start, like Andy just said. So, I mean, hey, that's going to be a tough division this year. No doubt.
I mean, honestly, I love Denver coming into the year. We talked about it with Chris O. Chris O came on, I want to say a week or 2 before the season started. And, he was great when he pointed this out, man. Denver's played 2 road teams so far. But he really pointed out how good they play in the month of September, especially at home since 2001. But I mentioned this at the start of week 1. Teddy Bridgewater is nothing short of the cover king in the NFL. He is 38-14 against the spread as a starter. Like, it just doesn't get better than that. It makes no sense. But Teddy B's not the sexiest quarterback, but he just does things that doesn't lose games. He makes enough plays to keep his team in it. He makes a couple plays when the team calls upon it to move the chains, make a big throw here or there. But he just doesn't lose games. That's why he covers. He is spready Teddy Bridgewater, and bettors got to love him. And honestly, man, as for the Raiders, that is interesting. They really should have lost week 1. But you know what? They came out slugging against the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road, going from west to east, and on a short week, they looked pretty impressive, dude. So I'm very interested to see what Vegas is going to do the rest of the way. But as for my reactions, man, I got to say, Titans and Packers, I called them out last week. I asked them, are they going to stand up this week? They did. The Packers did what they were supposed to. They absolutely clapped the Lions at home. Rodgers back in action, free Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, and now we got, Tennessee with a great comeback win. Julio Jones got robbed out of a touchdown, which is outrageous because, the guy can never catch a break in the red zone. But Tennessee, man, King Henry looking like every bit of that king he is. Kyle, I know you had to be pumped to see that.
Overly ecstatic, Johnny. Overly ecstatic, let me tell you. I was right on the edge of the cliff, you know what I mean? I was ready to jump, and they've walked me back at least 5 feet from the ledge right now. Their defense still isn't, by any means going to contend as far as I'm concerned. Caleb Farley was inactive, so that's not a good sign, when your number 1 pick is inactive. So is Tennessee going to win that division? Knock on wood, most likely, but, I mean, their defense isn't going to make them be like serious contenders for the AFC. I still think it's going to be between the Browns. I like what Nick said. I don't expect the Chiefs to repeat out of the conference this year. I do like Tampa to do that, but we'll talk about that a little later.
You're lucky, Kyle. I mean, because the Colts should have beat Johnny's Rams There's no doubt about it. I know Wentz got hurt at the end.
Come on.
I thought the Colts played better there. But my other reaction has got to be Zach Wilson. It was a good try. Your career's over. Nothing you could do about it. Just that you're a Jet. My co-host Joe Calabrese texted me, "Oh, this guy sucks." Zach Wilson does not suck. Week 1, he got sacked 6 times. He got hit like 12 times. He's gun shy. All he had out there was a wide receiver who on a good team's like a number 3 in Corey Davis. You couldn't name one other person on the offense. There's no offensive line. He's trying to get the ball away so he doesn't get sacked. So of course it sucks when you throw 4 interceptions. But really, Johnny, when is the last time A, the Jets beat the Patriots, and B, a rookie quarterback beat the Patriots? It's a long time. So if you didn't see that coming as a Jets fan, you're a delusion.
I think my wife actually had that stat, Nick, and gave that to me. I think it was something like 13 straight games that the Patriots have won. And my wife is a Pats fan and gave that to me right off her hand. Good for her. But yeah, wow. That's embarrassing as a franchise.
Let's not overreact here because Bill Belichick coming into the game was 21-6 against rookie quarterbacks. So obviously now he's 22-6. I'm not ready to write it off. I mean, Robert Saleh, he's a real player's guy, and I think he's going to have him turn it around a little bit. Wilson's really not that bad. It's just, you have a huge loss on the offensive line, and, their line wasn't that great to begin with. So Mekhi Becton is a huge piece of what they were doing. Now, if you lose him, which they do, it's not really looking like the best of circumstances to be standing behind the offensive line. What do you think, Andy?
Well, I'll just say that, and this is a big example I'm going to use, is Peyton Manning. I mean, look when Peyton Manning came into the NFL. He was 3-13 in his first season in 1998 with the Colts. Zach Wilson, I'm hoping that maybe there'll be a turnaround in the near future. But we're talking about rookie quarterback here. We're talking about mistakes are going to get made. Teams are still building up. I mean, the Colts were doing that when Peyton Manning was first starting. So I just feel that this is only the first season. If you give Wilson another year or two and he doesn't develop, then there's another change coming in MetLife. But for now, he's just a kid. Let him develop. Don't just push him and expect the Jets to be Super Bowl contenders overnight. It's like Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. People think Trevor Lawrence is going to be the next big thing. He's already off to an 0-2 start in Jacksonville.
Absolutely, man. You definitely got to give the kid time. But week 2's in the books officially now that Monday night has wrapped up. So we're on to week 3. And I got to ask Kyle, what's the week 3 matchup you're looking forward to the most?
Well, I'm going to be a little biased here. Why not? I'm just going to go for it. For me, it's going to be the Indianapolis Colts and the Tennessee Titans. Huge division matchup. It's going to shape out for me as far as a fan and what's going to go forward this year as far as the Titans in that division, what they're going to look like. Because for whatever reason, the Titans, if they're supposed to be better than the Colts, then they play down to the Colts. The Colts have always had their number. So if the Tennessee can take care of Indianapolis this week, I think it could be a good year for them.
Absolutely, man. Tennessee is one of these teams that you can't play down to your competition, especially Carson Wentz. His status is up in the air right now with 2 ankle sprains. I was watching the one where Aaron Donald got him from behind just as Wentz let go of the ball. And right from the jump, you could see you could just see the frustration on Carson Wentz's face. Like he was getting immediate attention from the trainer, trying to get it wrapped up so he could finish the game. Ultimately, Jacob Eason had to come in and try and do one last desperation to get the team in a field goal range, and obviously they fell short. So Carson Wentz not playing is catastrophic for an Indy offense that's starving. But I'll tell you who actually looked good was Michael Pittman Jr. That might have been his coming out game against one of the best defenses in football. He had 8 catches, 123 yards. I mean, he's looking like the guy, the ex-receiver they've been dying for quite some time. But Nick, what do you think about the week 3 matchups? Who do you like?
I am, obviously I'm interested in the Chiefs, Chargers. Chargers should be tuned out, but I am all over the Bucs and the Rams. The Bucs are going to put the Rams in their place, show there's a big difference, a big gap there. Another 2 touchdowns for Gronkowski, perhaps. Going to be on pace for 37 this season. I mean, unbelievable. My guy, Red Zone Robbie G, is just tremendous. He's the best tight end in the NFL again.
And former 24/7 world champion.
Yeah, absolutely. And where did you guys pick him in the draft, in your fantasy drafts? Because he is right now the top value pick in the whole draft among all fantasy players. Is he going to get hurt? Probably at some point. I'll miss a few games here. But, Brady's just looking for him, or maybe they're just not covering him because they're too worried about Evans, Antonio Brown, and Godwin. But and Fournette has been great, and Giovanni Bernard. But listen, Gronkowski is just open every time. Johnny V, I saw your tweet earlier today. You should absolutely bet an anytime touchdown on Rob Gronkowski for this Sunday. Isn't it crazy to think that 2 years out of retirement here, we're looking at Rob Gronkowski perhaps having one of the best seasons of his career, all pro at tight end? It's amazing. It really is. And I know I've been saying Kyler Murray MVP, but how do you not say Tom Brady MVP? He's gonna throw 50 touchdowns this year.
Father time for MVP. But to further your point there, Nick, is I don't think Rob is going to get hurt because he doesn't have to deal with the double and triple coverage and seeing those nasty hits that he's been taking throughout his career while he was in New England. He's got Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin all around him, so it spreads out the coverage.
Well, you know what? It's funny. I think a lot of people, including myself, overlooked Gronk as a fantasy tight end this year. I mean, nothing more than a backup because, obviously all the weapons. It does make sense that he's being used as a red zone target, and that's where he's dominating. Teams might be getting lost on all the other weapons that they have. But, it's funny because I think coming into the year, the over-under for Gronk's touchdowns might have been 6, and he might hit it next week. Gronk's got 2 touchdowns in each of his last 3 games apiece, 6 total touchdowns in the last 3 games, 2 a game, including the Super Bowl. So he's definitely looking like a guy that is going to be a problem for the rest of the season because you got Evans, Godwin, Brown, Fournette, Rojo, even OJ Howard. Now you got to deal with Gronkowski. So it's definitely going to be one to watch. I mean, that was my game of the week because to me that's an NFC Championship preview, and I disagree with you thinking that the Bucs are going to put the Rams in their place because when you look at 5 losses Tampa had in the regular season last year, and yes, they weren't gelling maybe at that point, but 4 of their 5 losses were to physical teams that just came straight at them. The Rams were one of them, with Jared Goff, by the way, the Bears and the Saints twice. So, and I'm not ready to write off the Rams, but
take the over.
Well, I will agree with Nick and Johnny. I think that it's obvious. We know the Bucs are 3-0. We know the Rams are 3-0. And we know everything about the Bucs. But nobody talks about how Matthew Stafford has adjusted to Los Angeles very well. He's had 2 very good starts with the Rams. You have a very good defense led by CJ Mosley. So the Rams are really taking off on a good flight. And this is going – I'm in agreement. I really think in January, you're looking at a potential NFC Championship game preview. It's only week 3.
To further your thought there, Randy, I'm just going to throw out a matchup here as well that I'm looking at that's catching my eye. It's Green Bay versus San Francisco. San Francisco's 2-0. You got San Francisco there 2-0. Green Bay obviously just coming off a big win last night, Monday night. So, I don't buy San Francisco though. So I think this is going to be a big game for Green Bay to come out, even though it's on the road. I think, again, another huge statement game for the Packers.
Kyle, I'm not all in on the 49ers. I think they're the 4th best team in their division.
Well, it's funny. Just real quick before we get back to that game, just the Bucs at the Rams. This one's going to be one that absolutely got to keep your eye on. I mean, the Bucs are 4-4 against the spread on the road since 2020, 6-2 straight up. And Brady career in road games is 90-40 straight up. It's ridiculous. In the Pacific time zone, he's 5-1 straight up, 5-3 against the spread. They've scored 30 points or more in 9 straight games if you include the postseason. But man, the Rams were my pick coming into the year. I really thought hard about the NFC, how it shakes out. What I think is this: the Bucs can beat the Rams in the regular season. If they do, I'm giving them an almost certainty, unless no major injuries happen, knock wood, that the Rams are taking them down in the postseason. If the Rams beat the Bucs Sunday, I still think there's a good chance they beat them again. I backed the Rams for the Super Bowl, so I can't go away with this pick. I also do think this is going to go a long way in the MVP race for the season. I mean, Stafford obviously was my pick. Brady, I said it before the season, he was plus 1,200. I was like, wow, you know what? Maybe throw $50 on him, pay up plus 600. I really love what the Bucs are going to do this year. Year 2 under Bruce Arians, I said it all summer. Quarterbacks click in year 2 of his system. Look at Carson Palmer in 2015. So not surprised to see the Bucs balling out the way they are. But you know what, man? I got to stay with the Rams. I really do. This was my team. I cannot jump ship in week 3. Bucs can very well take them down, but they're going to get them when it counts. So as for your Niners, Packers, this is another interesting one, Kyle, because Green Bay in San Francisco has struggled. Aaron Rodgers has had problems in his last few matchups against San Francisco. Remember in 2018 when they got throttled twice, they just struggled against a team like Tampa Bay did last year when teams come straight at them. When they come right at them, it's trouble.
Well, I'll just say this about the 49ers. A lot of expectations.
Oh, set change for Andy.
Yeah, long story short, there's a vacuum going on upstairs.
Don't adjust your monitors, folks.
Yeah, but the story about the Niners, we know about their quarterback situation. We know that they can run options where Lance can play one play. Then you got Jimmy G himself, but I don't know. I mean, the Rams look like the team to beat in that division. Just because, again, I'm looking at Matthew Stafford and I'm saying to myself,
what about the Cardinals, Andy? Kyler Murray's the best quarterback in the division.
Stop it right now.
Look at the stats, Kyle. Look at the stats.
Stafford?
Hey, Nick, I might be there with you, brother. I think Seattle, obviously, as much as I don't want to write off Seattle because I really like Russell Wilson. It's going to be hard to argue because Kyler Murray is just going to take another further step this year with Cliff Kingsbury, and then you got LA, who just clearly improved over the offseason and still has that same defense.
All 4 of these teams are better than all 4 teams in the NFC East.
Well, I'm just going to say this right now. I'm just going to be completely honest. Look at Matthew Stafford's passing rate in Detroit compared to his new setting in Los Angeles. It's a scenery change. And it's helped.
Just like you, a scenery change.
Exactly.
You're trying to save the vacuum.
This scenery change where going on with Goff going to Detroit.
Who, yours or Stafford's?
The point is,
Andy, what's your vacuum rating? Go into the basement from your bedroom.
But right now, Stafford has the best passing rate in the entire NFL. One of the best. There's no arguing there. So Matt Stafford, I don't know. Is it going to intrigue you to think that, again, we're looking at a potential January playoff matchup on Sunday afternoon? I think so, yes. And even if, let's say, for all intents and purposes, the Rams lose, they're still going to end up likely getting the 2 or 3 seed in the NFC if things go very well for them.
Andy's going to end up in the garage next, watch.
I'm not going to the garage, trust me.
Try the neighbor's house. No, listen, I'm going to 100% agree with you. Like, to me, the Rams are head and shoulders above everybody because they have a quarterback, they have a defense, they have a running game that's solid, and they have a receiving core with a solid offensive line. And most of all, they have a head coach. You know what I'm saying? So I don't see like I understand how deep the NFC West is, but at the end of the day, dude, the Rams to me are by far better. You look at Arizona, dude, like they're a little bit of a stat patter. They padded some stats against the Titans. They throw the ball at an absolute boatload. But honestly, man, I'm just not sold on Seattle with their defense. I'm not sold on Russell Wilson. I've never been. The Niners, Jimmy G, their shot was in 2018 against the Chiefs, and they blew it. Kyle Shanahan, yet again, doesn't run the ball. He can't get it done when it counts.
The choker Shanahan. He's horrible.
That was their shot. They blew it. To me, it's the Rams out of this division. It's not close. Like, the Cardinals are going to fade. They should have lost against the Vikings on Sunday. They got very lucky, very fortunate. I love, for fantasy, for betting, what Arizona is doing. And their defense, has improved, addition of J.J. Watt alongside with Chandler Jones. But at the end of the day, man, when you break it down, the Cardinals, I just don't think they'll be there. And I know Kyler Murray's your boy. That's why I didn't back him in the MVP race, because I did really believe he would have made a compelling case if Arizona would have been a 10-win team. And if they are, he certainly will have a compelling case.
Well, I'll just
Next week, Rams, Cardinals.
I was just going to say
Patriots.
That. Yes.
Big time.
Look, that throw Kyler Murray makes off his back foot on 4th and 5 to set up the go-ahead field goal. All I'm going to say is that's a hell of an arm and a hell of a throw.
Yeah, man, he's a playmaker. Kyler Murray, he's a little rugrat. He looks like Tommy Pickles if Tommy Pickles was a real person, the way he runs around. Like, it's cool. Like, he's a fun guy to watch. But so going to their NFC West opponent here, the Seattle Seahawks, the worst team. Sorry.
He's on the move again.
On the move. He's on the move. The worst team to bet, what I want to bet them, is the Seattle Seahawks. They have the Minnesota Vikings this week, who, by the way, I backed at +3.5 in Arizona, threw them on the teaser leg last week. They came home. I thought they were going to win outright. They were. A fluky 37-yard field goal push to the right prevented it. Seattle is -2 at Minnesota. Over-under right now is 55.5. Notice a trend here. We're featuring the 3 highest scoring projected matchups of the week. What do we think about this game here? This is an intriguing one. Early season NFC tilt for two teams coming off very heartbreaking losses that need a win. Nick, who you siding with?
The Vikings, they could be 2-0 right now, and now they're in a really rough spot. They have to win this game. I know the guy's got a lot of haters, but Kirk Cousins has been really good this year, really solid. Games in Minnesota, and I don't trust Pete Carroll, so give me the Vikings in this one. I think they're going to win. +2 with the spread there. I'll go with them. I think Seattle will go up early, but like they always do, they can't maintain those leads, and the Vikings will come from behind at the end, and they'll be led by Kirk Cousins, and Andy is back in the other room now. This guy is unbelievable.
Houdini.
I will mention, I was listening to Nick's point about the Viking-Seahawks game, and I will be in agreement that this is a must-win for the Vikings. If they lose on Sunday afternoon to Seattle, and especially how the game is in Minnesota, Vikings lose, it's done. The season's over. So this is a must-win. And if you can't beat then to think of it, this is a must-win for both. Just think about it. The Vikings heading into this game are 0-2. We know that. If Seattle loses, they fall to 1-2. So Seattle losing won't be the end of the world here. It's Minnesota losing would be the end of the world for the Vikings.
I think, though, in a little bit of a way, though, Andy, it is, like you said, a must-win, though, for both. Because if Seattle does lose here, they fall behind in a very, very tough division that, like Nick said, all 4 teams are better than the NFC East. So those are very, very solid teams that are all contending for playoff spots there.
Well, it's interesting that we're talking about this because, quite honestly, Minnesota, man, they should be 2-0. They got a couple real bad breaks. Kirk Cousins, man, he looks legit. Give credit where it's due. He's playing lights out. I think he started the game against Arizona 9 of 11 for like $150 and 2 tutties. Like, he looks phenomenal. Dalvin Cook looked really good against Arizona. Jefferson and Thielen's looking pretty sharp. He's got 3 tutties in his first 2 games. They absolutely need this win. I'm not back in Seattle. I'm too sore about what happened last Sunday. But honestly, when it comes down to it, I don't think Seattle's going to stop Dalvin Cook. They don't have enough corners to stop Thielen and Justin Jefferson. Kirk Cousins is sharp right now. As long as there's no crazy major mistakes, I don't see Minnesota dropping this one. You know, they're home dogs. I think they're going to come home barking because we talked about it. They really need it. And Seattle has a bad habit. They don't put teams away. I mentioned this on Friday with Andrew Kaler when we're doing the betting show, which is one big reason why I took Tennessee a +6.5. They struggle to put teams away. They let them hang around a little bit too long. I could see Seattle jump out to like a 17-7, 17-10 lead, and then slowly Kirk Cousins, here he comes with Dalvin Cook. They make the big plays, and they get it going, and they get the dub at home.
You know, Cage Osborne's been a bit of an emerging player in that offense as well there, Johnny, contributing along with Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, and Adam Thielen.
Oh, Frank Tadaro. Andy looks like Vinny the Chin Gigante without the bathrobe. Dude, you know what, man? You should throw the bathrobe on. If you got it, I mean, you already stepped away a handful of times. If you got the bathrobe, I would
Hey,
throw
you put
it
your
on.
robe on.
Let's go. Frank, what do you think about that, my man? Oh, my God. I love it.
Perfect placement to rearrange the room while it was being vacuumed.
You love to see it. You absolutely love to see it. Kyle, what do you think about Seattle here?
I think probably you'd have to take Seattle here. I think they're probably – you know what? No. You know what? I'm going to go Vikings here because I think this is absolutely desperation for Minnesota, and it's all or nothing here. And if they don't win, season's over. And like I said, they got plenty of weapons on offense. They just got to make it work. They got to shut down defensively. And then, Minnesota's, like I said, they got to get it done or else season's over. Plain and simple. Go with Minnesota.
I will say one interesting point, though, and the trends, the first 2 weeks of the season, especially last week, every trend I'm pointing out that's a good trend. You know, at some point it's going to go the other way, but man, has it really gone the other way for me. Wilson, I mentioned 9-0 career in home openers, and you know, the one time he's the last leg of my teaser. What does he do? He blows a 2-touchdown lead at home to bring it home for me when we were inches from the finish line. But he is 34-9 straight up career when coming off a loss, 28-12-3 against the spread. So you would think Seattle brings us home, but trends are made to be broken.
That being said, another trend too here, Johnny, that kind of goes with my bet is the home underdog. Home underdog is a tough one to bet against, especially if they're within that field goal, the 4-point range. Very tough to deal with.
And listen, for quick bettors out there, anybody looking to get action on this game and you want to side with the Vikings, do yourself a favor. Don't take the 2. Take Minnesota money line because it's rarely going to end in a 2 or 1 point loss. So you might as well take the bigger action and take the money line. Get the Vikings to win straight up.
I'll just randomly mention for any bettors this week, go with my team. The Ravens are going to easily beat the Lions this week on the road. So I'm just going to give some betting advice. I'm not the best at it, but when it comes to my football team actually favored very well this week, go with Baltimore. Take the minus.
Johnny, did you see that guy who had a 16-team parlay? And then if the Lions won last night, he was going to win $750K on like a $25 bet.
I hope he hedged.
I don't know why you would have picked the Lions there.
What the hell are you thinking there, buddy? Really?
Well, no, in all fairness, I mean, it wouldn't have been $750K if the line. I'll tell you what, how big the Lions were as an underdog. That probably takes a few $100,000 off the ticket if he didn't put the Lions on there. Still, I would have absolutely taken it. I wouldn't have put the Lions on there in the first place, but I hope that man hedged, because to watch $750K go down the drain off one final play when you hit the first 15 legs of the teaser is sickening. But, I mean, Andy, quick to your point mentioned with the Baltimore game, the interesting thing about that is that game was 9 points. The spread was 9 this afternoon. I looked 15 minutes later, it dropped all the way down to 7.5. There had to be a lot of hard, sharp action on Detroit, because a full 1.5 in the span of 20 minutes is dramatic. Something's going on. Somebody thinks the Lions are going to be coming home as a 9-point dog, and that line had to dramatically drop as a result of it.
Oh, boy. That's going to make Ryan Field happy then.
How about Jameis Winston returning to form this week?
Hey! Don't be
right
about my boy.
Right back to his normal self.
Don't be talking about my boy Jameis Winston like that. Don't be talking about my boy Jameis Winston like that. Come on.
Another bet to look at for futures is look at Carolina this year. I like Carolina to make the playoffs in that division over the Saints as a second team.
I took over their 7.5 wins. Yeah.
You know, Andy and Jameis once shared some crab legs at the FSU cafeteria.
Did you guys steal them from the Publix together?
Nope. And I have not been to Florida in a long time, so Nick's making a very bad accusation.
A long time is 2014, man. 2014 is a long time. I mean,
actually 2008, last time I was in Florida.
Tell the cops that. That way nobody knows that you were
smoking like a true mobster, Vinny the Chin.
So, guys, as we're rounding out the 3 games that we're highlighting here, we got the Chargers and the Chiefs. AFC West tilt, 6.5 points. The Chiefs are giving the Chargers with a 55.5-point total. 3 straight 55.5-point totals on our slate today. What are we thinking here? Because Kansas City, as they were on a 13-2 out of 15 game shredding teaser or against the spread cover, they are 1-11-1 in their last 13. They are bad right now covering the spread. And LA, they have some really strange, bizarre penalties and turnovers that's kind of fluky, that's preventing them from scoring 30-plus in back-to-back matchups against Washington and Dallas. What are we thinking about this game? Who are we siding with, Kyle?
Well, to your point about the undisciplined play there by the Chargers, I mean, that's just coaching there, Johnny. I mean, and that comes with a new head coach. Obviously, Anthony Lynn is gone from last year. But, you got a young team, so things are looking promising as far as the talent that's there, but they got to reel that in if they want to be successful. That being said, I mean, look, you're getting the Chiefs here. You know what you're getting. You're getting an all-star caliber team. I think the Chiefs, I mean, I don't know if the magical dust is there for Justin Herbert this Sunday, but I'm probably going to, if it were me, I'm putting money on the Chiefs. I'm going to stay away from this game personally because, I mean, anything can happen with a division rival, especially where, like I said, the Chargers are talented enough to probably keep up with the Chiefs because, I mean, the Chiefs' defense is awful, god-awful. And that being said, I wouldn't be confident with taking the Chiefs with the point spread, but, I mean, obviously, I think it's Chiefs' money line here is the play, and then I think the over is the clear, obvious hammer that all day.
So, there's probably going to be a lot of action. I haven't seen, the percentages yet on the over-under, but this is another, this is a bizarre game because obviously you have two teams that could really put up points. They could put up 30-plus any given week. And divisional games, trends and stuff tend to go out the window. But aside from Kansas City's woeful spread covering, they haven't covered a spread, by the way, in 4 straight games. The Bolts have had bad luck in close games. They're 6-8 in one possession games since 2020. Now, a lot of it was on Anthony Lynn and his late game clock management, play calling, what have you. But LA coming off a game that they really should have won. Same thing goes for Kansas City. 6.5 points. I like Justin Herbert to have a day, man. I think this is one that Kansas City, they might not cover. I think they'll end up winning it, but I like LA. It's too early for me to definitively pick them because I got to see where the public bets are. Because let me tell you, if the Chiefs are given 70-75% of the public bets, I'm going with the Chargers. But certainly this is one that you need to keep your eye on. Justin Herbert, 4th in the league in passing yards, right behind Patrick Mahomes, who's 3rd. The Bolts, 37 points through 2 games is so misleading. Like I said, a ton of phantom penalties, halting drives. They had 3+ 30+ yard plays called back on ticky-tack penalties. Even Tony Romo was scratching his head on Sunday against Dallas. So, this game could have looked a whole lot different. The Chargers could be 2-0 very easily.
All I'm just going to say regarding last week, look out for when urinating tree posts this week in sports ball, because I'm telling you guys right now, he's going to literally go all over the mistakes the Chargers made against the Cowboys. But as far as this game is concerned on Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock start on the East Coast, 12 o'clock locally, my point is you're looking at a 6.5 for now between LA and Kansas City. It could change in the next couple of days. All depends how the sports books look at it. But I'm just going to give my honest opinion. I think this could come down to a field goal. I really think one field goal could decide this game on Sunday afternoon, if both teams play very well.
Yeah, Andy, it's going to be a closer game. If you're betting this game, you should go right now and bet the Chargers plus 6.5. I think the line will go down as we get closer to the weekend, probably to around 4.5. So if you grab that now, go ahead. But I would say with Johnny here, I'll take the Chiefs to win outright at this point in time, specifically because it is a home game.
I also did say that too, Nick, that the Chiefs win outright.
Well, here's the thing. If you're not comfortable betting the Chargers at plus 6.5, by the way, right now, the Chiefs have 75% of the public bets, which I just mentioned. If they're getting 70 plus, boom, I'm taking LA. This game could tick down. I could see a lot of late money come in on Kansas City, believe it or not, because people are like, all right, they had a terrible loss against Baltimore, a game they realistically should have won. They're going to come in like a bunch of bloodhounds ready to just dismantle the Chargers. But if you're not comfortable with this 6.5 points, which honestly I am, I mean, I would play, I'd play the Chargers down to 5, honestly. I said road team's getting 5 or 5.5. You take the road team. Road dogs getting 5 or 5.5 always. I'd play it down to 5. 4.5 starts getting a little dicey. I do think, Andy, you're right. It could come down to a field goal very well. Maybe whoever has the ball last wins. But if you're not willing to stomach the Chargers plus 6.5, I would throw LA in a teaser at plus 12.5. So as that wraps up our pre-matchup for week 3, we're bringing you my favorite segment of the evening, the Gambling Guinea's best betting trends. You heard me talk about 2 of these games. And honestly, I have a whole lot more. Tune in on Friday. I'll be with Andrew Cayley. We're talking more bets, and obviously my weekly taste on Sunday. Let's get after it. A quick little taster for everybody. The week 3 teaser that I'm eyeing up to start. Arizona Cardinals minus 1.5 at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Listen, Arizona, obviously their offense is playing lights out. Their defense is getting after the quarterback. They're making offenses pay for mistakes. And let me tell you something. Trevor Lawrence is the most inaccurate quarterback in the NFL right now. So I expect them to have a field day with the rookie. Look for Chandler Jones. Look for J.J. Watt to get after Trevor Lawrence, making a ton of mistakes right now. I believe he has 9 interceptions to start the year. It's not really what you want to see when you're going against, Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt. Trevor Lawrence, 36% uncatchable rate through week 2. He's by far the most inaccurate quarterback in football. They're going to be in a very pass-heavy situation. So Arizona to win by 2. I mean, the Jags have lost 17 straight games. It's unlikely they lose by 1 point on Sunday. Next, we have the Chargers, aforementioned. I just talked about them. If you don't want to stomach the 6.5, I love them getting 12.5. I don't think this game is going to be won by more than 3 to 5 points on either side, 6 at the absolute most. So LA getting 12.5. Think about it this way, everybody. If LA gets the ball first, goes down, and scores a touchdown, give them 7 points. It's basically Chargers plus 19.5, while the Chiefs are maybe the only team that can make up that deficit in a hurry. The LA defense is pretty good. Hopefully Chris Harris is in the lineup. He is a big difference maker. And the Chiefs scoring 20 unanswered points is possible, but you got to like where you're at if you got LA plus 19.5. I like the Chargers in this game with the spread. Your Honor, no objections.
Johnny and the rest of the guys, just one random question before we wrap it all up. Are the Carolina Panthers legit or not? Just a random question.
They're playoff legit. They're capable of getting a 7. They're not Super Bowl legit. Sam Darnold has done solid thus far against the Jets and the Saints, but Matt Rule had this team in the playoff hunt last year with Teddy Bridgewater. Christian McCaffrey was out for most of the season. Now you got CMC back. He's got over 137 yards from scrimmage in each of his first 2 games, 29.5 touches per game on the average. So I really love Carolina, especially with a very underrated budding young front 7, sort of potentially drawing shades of what they had in 2015 with – I don't know what that was. drawing shades of 2015. So I definitely think they are a playoff contender in a wild card NFC.
Well,
also to your point there, Andy. Sorry, I just wanted to get this in real quick. I actually like Carolina with the 7.5 Thursday night against Houston. Tyrod Taylor was just ruled out today for that game with his hamstring. I don't know if Davis Mills.
And Deshaun Watson, we know the situation with him.
Exactly. Well said, Andy. And that being said, I think Carolina runs away with this game with 2 touchdowns, even though they're on the road. I know it's a short week for them on the road, but still, I really like them. I think CMC goes off. And I think Sam Darnold just continues to progress with the passing game and with the rapport with his receivers. Go ahead, Andy.
One last point. I know we got to wrap up. I hope that this is a sign that Sam Darnold may have finally found his true home in the NFL.
Absolutely, 100%, man. I mean, he did wonders with Teddy Bridgewater, so maybe Sam Darnold, he just needed to change the scenery. Got to get the hell away from Adam Gase. That guy's a cancer, bro. But we got our boy Nick Durst here, featuring our Emerge Player of the Night, brought to you by Emerge Sports Marketing. Our boy Jay Nicholas, take it away.
Listen, I thought for sure Kyle was going to want to do this and give us Brian Danielson, but I got 2 for you. It's funny you guys are just talking about it. Give me my guy, Davis Mills, first start in the NFL. Texans will win that game outright. Short week on a Thursday game. No tape on Davis Mills, really. That's why it happens. Matt Rule is an absolutely excellent coach, though. I'm not sold on Sam Darnold at all. We'll see what happens there. And one more just for Kyle. Give me Marcus Stroman tonight against the Red Sox in Fenway. Stroman at 2.81 ERA on the road this season. Maybe the Mets will win the game and they'll get the Blue Jays closer to the 1 seed in the wild card. We'd love to see that. As long as the Yankees don't make the wild card, I'll be happy.
My Mets are done, so I'm kind of heartbroken about it. We talked about it late July, I want to say. They're basically a shoo-in for the postseason unless they do a 2007 type of collapse, and here we are. They did. DeGrom going down didn't help. Lindor, he picks pretty much when they're out of it to start heating up. Javi Baez missed some time. It was a mess, man. I mean, the Mets got to do some real soul searching this offseason. They have pieces to
Theo Epstein, Billy Bean. Let's get a real person in here.
Yep, 100%, man. But Kyle, kick it off, man. What's your final thoughts?
I'm going to be a little out there. I'm not even going to go with the Brian Danielson thing there, Nick. I'm going to actually go Formula One here for you. We got the Russian Grand Prix going on this weekend. I'm a very big fan of Formula One Drive to Survive on Netflix. I've become addicted with Formula One ever since then. That being said, Valtteri Bottas, it's his last year as he's going to Alfa Romeo to replace Kimi Räikkönen as Kimi Räikkönen's retiring. I think he's got a really good shot to win the Russian Grand Prix this weekend. I mean, he really, really drives very well there, and I think he's going to be motivated to show up Lewis Hamilton there once again.
Nick, what do you think, buddy? What do you feel for your final thoughts?
My final thought is simple. Andy is now officially the funniest, craziest guest we've had. Sorry, Frank the Tank. You cannot compare to what we just saw in the last 50 minutes by Harry Houdini reincarnated Andrew Jason Pollack.
Oh, boy. Well, no, Andy was a great guest. He had a run, unfortunately, but, pleasure to have him on. Looking forward to having him on again. I would say, before I get into the sports stuff, Sopranos movie, Many Saints of Newark, been dying for this for a long time and hits home for me. So it comes out on October 1st on HBO Max. They did not tell me to say this, but I'm super excited. And also we have Venom 2. My boy Tom Hardy, the best actor of this generation, my man Crush Monday. Can't wait to see Tom Hardy throw down as Venom against Carnage, Woody Harrelson. As for the sports, man, I want to get back on track this week. I've had a couple really bad beats in some of my teasers, coming oh so close, losing on just fluky nonsense. My picks have been pretty solid, but I want to come home with some winners and my money in my pocket. Let's get after it this week. We're going to have a big week. I feel it. I got very scorching hot week 3 last season, looking to do the same thing. Your Honor, no objections if it pleases the court counselor. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at _JohnnyVTV. He's at Nick_Durst. Andy's at Andy's Randomness. Very random. Kyle does not have a Twitter. Figure that one out. Also, check us out on Instagram. I'm at The Gambling Guinea and also at JohnnyVTV. Nick's at Nick's Food and Stuff. And Kyle's at Kyle Donnelly. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you on Friday with Andrew Cayley on the best bets. Everybody, take it easy.